Welcome to NFL Road, where NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob. And to begin, we will talk specifically about Hard Knocks over the next, for this episode, I should say. But let's first begin with the Cowboys. The Cowboys defensive end, Sam Williams, was arrested on Sunday with a controlled substance and a weapon charge, and this was only announced today. Now, this is where I go with this. Due to the fact that it's Wednesday, and this was supposedly happened Sunday evening, I'm sure the Cowboys know about this. I'm sure they've already talked to him, to Sam Williams, and to the police department. But I'm also sure of, I went and I looked up this morning, because I didn't know this off the top of my head, what exactly counts for a controlled substance. Now, I'm hoping, as bad as this sounds, I'm hoping that he was caught with weed. I am. Because anything else is far more serious. And if it would happen, if I was the Joneses, I would call Sam Williams up to the office. I wouldn't cut him because I think it's too late to cut him. I don't think you have enough people and valued people with who you have. So I wouldn't cut him, but I would call him up to the office and I'd be like, man, you gotta get your stuff straightened out. We're happy you at least told us. So we at least knew this was coming. So we could at least send it out in our way. But in the fact, because when I read it this morning, it was from a Cowboys insider named Clarence Hill. So that would have never came out from Clarence Hill if we knew about that on Sunday. If it would have came out by Ian Rappaport or someone else, maybe a different situation. But the fact it came out with Clarence Hill means he told the Cowboys what happened. Or the police officers told him what happened. But I would go up to him and I'd be like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We don't know exactly the extent of the charges, of what the weapons charge would be. So we're under the assumption that the NFL may suspend you. So here's what we'll do. We're going to hope that we're going to play you for the last preseason game. You're going to play for free because you're not getting that money. We're going to send that to charity. We're going to then hope that if you do get suspended, that you can at least practice. That way you're not out of it. Because if I'm going there with the Cowboys, I'm like, it's every time. You're too young of a player. That's what I would really try to sell him up. Would be like, you're too young of a player. You can't be in these situations. I understand you got a lot of money quickly. I understand it's a big spotlight, but you can't be caught in these situations. With the way media works, with the way everything works, you're always looked at. You can't find yourself in these situations, period. And I would really try to get that through his head. And then I'd say, oh, by the way, Sam, when the season ends, we're going to have another conversation. We're going to talk about this again. I'm going to have it written down in a Word doc on my desk. We're going to talk about it again. No matter if we win the Super Bowl or if we go 0-16, we're going to talk about it again. That I would make sure we talk about it again. And we're going to figure out what's going to have to happen next. But right now, we're not going to cut you, but we're going to play you. You're not going to get paid. That's what I do. I know it's a little harsh, but that's what I do because you got it. It's better than saying, okay, because it happened again. Again, what is the extent of the weapons charge? I have no idea. I am assuming it's something that the NFL is going to take a look at. But either way, it's not a good sign. And I think the Cowboys have to nip this in the butt right now. So, next up, Jonathan Taylor was able to receive permission to get a trade, to look for trades. The Taylor issue is a massive issue because no one exactly knows this running back market. It's been bad this year. It's terrible. The market has not been exactly good. The highest paid running back this year in the free agency class was $6 million a year. The franchise tag's 10. So that's not good. Because the way the franchise tag works is the highest paid guys at your position, the top 5 of those, and then whatever it is. So if you're getting paid like what it was this year, $10 million, that means that out of the top 5, you're basically getting the middle range of that. Well, now the running backs aren't getting paid that much in comparative to their counterparts. So when Taylor goes and says, "I want more money," it's kind of hard because no one's paying running backs right now. It's not just that. No one's paying really. Well, in August, it's kind of a really difficult thing to do to pay someone right now. The Colts have the money for it, but do you want to pay someone more money who also didn't play well last year? He's been injured a lot. And so the teams that are going to, excuse me, be linked to him, they're going to have to raise the same questions. We're not going to rule it out, but we're probably not going to do it. Because why am I going to spend? Because the Colts want a first, which they're not going to get for a running back. That's just not going to happen because of the devaluation of the market. And they would have to pay him, which the team isn't going to do. So he's going to be disgruntled anywhere he goes. So it's just better off if either he plays this year, walks, and says, "Yeah, I'm not signing a franchise tag. Don't tag me because I'm not signing it." It's just easier if he does that instead of saying, "You know what? I'll stay here, but I don't want to be here. I won't practice. I'll be at practice, but I won't practice." That's the concern. And if you're Jonathan Taylor, that's too bad. That's too bad. Because if it would have been the year before and he was asking to be paid more and he had that same year of production, it would have been done already. But he didn't have a good year. His year was lackluster. He got hurt. The team wasn't very good. Like, it's kind of difficult to pay somebody when they're not playing at their best, they're injured, and the team isn't very good. It's just a very long road. Next up, the Raiders were talking about that they have no plans of trading Josh Jacobs. Now, this report by Cody Benjamin says the Raiders don't plan to trade disgruntled Jacobs. That's not what Josh Jacobs has said. Josh Jacobs said, "I wanted to be paid." And in fact, he announced that he was waiting to sign the deal with the Raiders, he was in the parking lot with his teammate Max Crosby in the car, just waiting, thinking it was gonna get done, and it didn't get done. Now, Josh Jacobs has announced that he will be there for week 1. So it's not a question of, "Oh, will he play?" The answer is, yes, he will. It's just, what happens? Does he sign his tag so he can play, or does he just say, "You know what? I'll just play. Oh, I won't play at all." I think he'll sign it, but then he'll go and there'll be a mutual understanding of, "If you don't sign me to a contract, don't tag me again." I think there will be a mutual understanding. And I think that's what a lot of players are gonna do now. Is it gonna be like, "Look, you tagged me once, okay, don't tag me again. Don't tag me again. Either we get a contract done or we don't, but don't tag me again. Let me go somewheres where I can make my money." Moving on to the Chiefs, Chris Jones announced this past week that he was holding out, and he's been saying this for a little while now. But on Monday, Tuesday, he announced that he could hold out until week 8. And so, and that he might. Now, if that does happen, that would be a terrible thing for the Chiefs. He's their best defensive player. The game changes when he's on the field. That's an obvious thing. The game changes. The game's not the same when Chris Jones is or isn't on the field. There's not a similarity. It would be like putting Aaron Donald not on the field for the Rams. That changes your defense drastically. Because the things that Chris Jones can do, you need him. You need him. So losing him would be a problem. And so you gotta get this done. Quote from Andy Reid from today was, from today was, was, "Look, there has been no communication. So if he's here, it's great. If he ain't here, whatever happens, happens. The game's still gotta be played." But to my knowledge, there's been no communication. Which that stinks because again, you're 2 weeks away from the season, and now your best player isn't there. He wants to be paid accordingly, and yet at the same time, like, "Well, we don't want to." Not great. Not great. Next up, Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba is expected to miss 3 or 4 weeks after having surgery on his wrist. Smith and Jigba apparently had hurt it during a joint practice. I believe it was against the Chiefs, and according to the report, it says he could miss week 1. I think he will miss week 1. I think 3 or 4 weeks with a wrist injury. Now, I don't know what the exact extent of the surgery was, but he had a wrist surgery on Tuesday. 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe he's ready for week 2, maybe week 3, but that to me seems a little rushed. 4 weeks for a wrist surgery. Next up, let me see if I can find it. Okay, yeah, right here. And it's the final thing is Hard Knocks. This Hard Knocks episode was, I think, the best Hard Knocks episode. Episode 3 was the best Hard Knocks episode. It was. Because it got what I wanted in it. We had a couple of the fights in the joint practice, which I did like. We had the competitive fire, which I did like. We also had Randall Cobb, CJ Mosley and some of these other guys talking that they're veterans or undrafted players that have been around a little while, and they were talking. That was exciting to me because they hadn't done that yet. They hadn't talked to Randall Cobb yet. They hadn't talked to they hadn't CJ Mosley talk. Um, so I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the fact that Cobb talked about him and Aaron's relationship. I really liked the fact that they opened up that Randall thought Aaron was gonna retire, and also thought he was gonna retire. And when that didn't happen, it kinda changed. But I did enjoy that. I enjoyed that they had CJ Mosley talk. I want them to talk a little more to the undrafted players, or these 5th round picks. They talked to Israel Abanikanda, who I thought was having a good camp and a good preseason. They had Dalvin Cook a little bit. I want to explore that a little more. I would want them to explore the tight end room a little more, and the offensive line room a little more, because I think those people are very fascinating. I think they're all fascinating, but I really want to see how their mind works. They did a redo of the rookie show, and that was exciting as well. But all in all, the best episode of Hard Knocks was episode 3. And it was also announced that the next episode, the Jets will play their starters, including Aaron Rodgers. Which, if I'm Jets fans, I'm excited, but I'm extremely nervous about. I'm excited because we're gonna see this Jets offense in action, and I'm also like, if Aaron gets hurt on a handoff, like he hands off the ball and his finger kind of gets caught, Jet fans are gonna lose it. Everyone's gonna lose it. It's gonna be a disaster. So, but the one thing I will say about Hard Knocks this year, and I feel like, and Julian Edelman, I was thinking about this last night. Julian Edelman said this a couple years ago on the Rich Eisen show. He said if we had done Hard Knocks, everything would have been redacted. And that's what I feel like the Jets have done. I feel like everything's been redacted. It's like, okay, no, you can't do this. You can't do this. Oh yeah, you can have Robert Saleh running up the stairs in the stadium. No. Oh yeah, you can have Aaron throwing the ball. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you can have Zach Wilson running around. Yep. Oh yeah, you can have them talking about his Aaron Rodgers mustache. Yep. We can talk about that. Oh yeah, we can have them make fun of Thomas Morstead running off the field. Yep, no problem. But we're not gonna discuss what the linebackers are doing, the other corners are doing, what the other wide receivers are doing, the undrafted players. We're not gonna talk about what they're doing. It just seems very redacted the whole time. But all in all, the best Hard Knocks episode 3. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Peter. Out.